today's episode, I'm going to go over some of the more common techniques that a hacker uses in order to hack into or penetrate into a wireless network. Now, before I get into this, I hope you guys enjoy my content, and if you wish to see more episodes, please subscribe to my channel, give me a thumbs up, post some comments. I would love to hear your feedback. I'm always reading my messages, so I will respond to any of your messages that you put in. So I really appreciate it, guys. So please subscribe. So wireless hacking. Wireless hacking is a very common technique that a hacker should know. It's maybe like a hacker 101 kind of deal that a hacker should be informed on how to penetrate into a wireless network, because it's so commonly used. So many networks, so many homes, so many businesses, corporate companies, they're using wireless networking as a very common method of networking. So the fact that there's so much wireless transmission and constant frames and packets being sifted throughout the air, it poses a vulnerability naturally. So even if the network is secure, there are methods and techniques that a good hacker can use in order to penetrate and get into that network. So I'm going to kind of break down some of the more common names and terms that are used when it comes to hacking or cracking a wireless network. So the more common security parameters you'll see are something called WEP or WPA. Those are probably the most two common types of security parameters you'll see installed on a wireless access point, aka router. When somebody's setting up their router, if they choose to make it secure, a lot of times they'll have the option of making it a WPA, WPA2, or WEP. WEP is a very old security method, and you might not see that too often, but most commonly you'll see WPA, WPA2, and nowadays you'll see WPAE. WPAE Enterprise it's probably very tricky and difficult to hack or crack into an enterprise level wireless network. So consider whenever you see a -E, it's gonna be very difficult. WPA, WPA2, WEP are more easy to crack and hack into. So those are the two. Hacking a WEP or a WPA network is one method. Another method is a rogue access attack. So a rogue access attack is when you mimic a access point. So you might have a SSID router with a certain name. It might be called, let's say, for example, Bob's Network. And then, in order to be a rogue access attack, you want to use a program or application where it will mimic that particular name. So it will replicate the exact same name, Bob's Network, or whatever the case may be for the SSID, and we will try to give it a higher strength level. So the better antenna, the better strength you have on your wireless card, the better chance you're going to have for this particular attack. So you're going to give it a higher strength, and you're in hopes of having the end user that are connected to Bob's network will connect to your rogue network instead of the original Bob's network. Then also there's the evil twin attack. The evil twin attack is very similar to a rogue access attack, where it does the same kind of methodology where you'll have you'll mimic the same name, but there are a few other techniques that are used in the background as well. So you'll also do like a DOS attack. You'll kick off everybody off the network. You'll have usually a DHCP enabled server So it'll feed out its own IP address. It'll have its own DNS server, and it'll ultimately, it'll be creating its own SSID. And before all this is set up, you would usually, but you would capture the handshake, a four-way handshake first. So once you capture that four-way handshake, you have a encrypted set of frames, packets, that it's going to be the actual it's the actual password of that network, but it's encrypted. But you'll keep that PCAP or CAP file, which is encrypted, and we'll use that in this evil twin attack. And ultimately, like for example, how this attack would work, you would have all these services running, and you also have your captured packet saved, and you're DOSing the network, so you're denying everything off the network. You've kicked everything off the network, and you are mimicking that SSID name. So you're sending out that broadcast. You're not letting the routers or the access point send a signal to any of the wireless devices. Instead, you, the rogue or the hacker, has the SSID named the same name with a very strong signal, sending it out to every wireless device in hopes that the other wireless devices will connect to you. And then you have also a DNS, you have Apache or some sort of web server running in the background, and you also have DHCP enabled. So when they connect to your access point, your fake access point, they will receive usually like a page that will come up on their browser stating that they need to do some sort of maintenance or upgrade to their router or access point. In order for them to get back onto the internet, they would need to provide the password of the access point. So your hopes would be that the victim or the target would put in that password, and since you have the PCAP file that you've already captured previously, it will verify that encrypted content, that encrypted packet with the actual non-encrypted form, which is going to be provided from the target when you go to that web page that you provided to that target. And they would type it in, and if it matches up with that four-way handshake captured packet, it'll check it off, and then you're good to go. It'll notify the hacker that, hey, we've been successful, we got this password, and then all the services will cut off, and the target will go back to his own original network, and he's good to go. He doesn't even know what happened. So that's another technique, is the evil twin attack. There are other attacks such as a WPS attack. WPS is it's still used this day. I mean, most access points, routers, have a WPS PIN number embedded into the router or access point. So it's just a set of digits, and it's fairly easy to brute force those PIN numbers. So if you do a scan, if you're using a certain application and you notice that the access point is WPS enabled, you can try to do a brute force attack and try to get that WPS PIN number. So a WPS PIN number is set. It's set in motion. It's set there in the router for purposes if you want to recover your password. Let's say somebody set up their wireless router in their house, and they forgot what the actual password was. So in order for them to go recover that password, they could just go to their access point, look on the back of the access point or router, and it usually says a PIN number on the back of it. And then there's usually a button where you can press on the router. There's like a little button that says WPS. You press that, and it sends out a beacon. It sends out a broadcast for anybody to connect to that access point. And then once you connect to it, you'll see a page asking you put in your WPS number, and then with that number that you have in the back of that router, you put that WPS number, and then you'll connect to the access point. But that process of connecting to that access point, we could actually connect to it. There's applications and programs out there that can actually try to without you even touching the WPS button, it'll try to penetrate or try to request for that router to allow us to put in the WPS PIN number, and being just a set of digits, that could be brute forced, and that's a very easy technique or a good method to go into a wireless network, is first trying to see if it's WPS enabled and try to brute force that WPS PIN number. Another method is a new method that is called PKMID attack. Essentially, it's very similar to a WPA attack, except in a WPA attack, you need to have a certain amount of network devices already online in order for you to be successful in capturing a handshake. So in order for a WPA attack, you would have to do a DOS, so you'd have to do a denial of service for a snippet of time, and it would kick every device off, allowing the devices to reconnect again. And when they want to reconnect, there's a four-way handshake process. So one adapt network device, laptop, computer, whatever it may be, has the password already preset. The router has that password preset. They do an exchange, and they check off each other. So for that WPA attack, you would basically kick those devices off. Then you're going to try to do a reconnection, but in that reconnection process, our hopes would be to capture that frame of packets. So it's just a little set of encrypted data, and then later on with that encrypted frame, we would or packet, we would try to decrypt it using a dictionary brute force. So that's another technique. But the whole reason I'm saying this is because there is a technique that was recently discovered a few years ago called PKMID. So it does not need to have a secondary network device. You could get that request, that handshake request, from the router itself, the access point itself, to us as the hacker. We can request for that handshake, and we will just get the first snippet of that encrypted packet, and we will have that successful PCAP. And then with that PCAP, essentially we would do the same process we did with a WPA2 or WPA attack, where we get that packet, and then we go down and we open up another application to try to brute force and try to decrypt this password with a dictionary list. So you have a database of passwords, essentially, and in that dictionary you have like millions, if you want, millions, tens of millions. The bigger the list, the more successful you're going to be. So you have a list of these text. It's a text file with millions of variations of passwords, and commonly these dictionaries are created. They usually find breach data dumps on the dark web, and they formulate a big dictionary. It might be multiple breaches from other parts of the dark web, and they've put them all, they've catted them all together, concatenated, and put it into one big text file. And then you're going to get that text file, and you would run a program such as Hashcat against that PCAP, that encrypted packet that you intercepted. You would kind of cross-reference it with that set of passwords. So it goes one by one until it matches up with that encrypted set of characters with the decrypted password list. And once they both check off, because basically what it does is each password that's decrypted in that dictionary, it decrypts it as well, and it kind of checks with that packet that you already have that's decrypted. So if it's the exact same decryption and that's the exact same decryption, you have a success. And then once that success, it'll alert you and say, hey, this is your password. So that's another technique, the PKMID and the WPA, WPA2. They both use a dictionary type of a dictionary database in order to decrypt the data. So I'll go in next episode. We're going to go into WPA, WPA2 cracking and hacking. So I hope you enjoy this content. It's just a brief introduction as far as some of the different variations of wireless hacking and cracking. So I'm going to go over one by one in the next episodes and use some of the more common programs that are out there. And I will answer any questions. If anybody has any comments or questions, feel free to put those comments down, and please subscribe. And again, this is just informative information. I want you to put it to good use, hopefully, and don't be malicious. You know, I am PJ the Good Hacker, so hopefully my intentions is to teach you this knowledge so you can secure your networks, so you can be a better cybersecurity expert, and use this knowledge to help out friends and family or yourself, and you be their superhero. So thanks again. Hack on.